The first time the bell above my coffee shop door rang that morning, it was just a customer. The second time, it sounded like a warning. Two people walked in wearing dark jackets with state badges clipped to their chests, clipboards in hand, eyes scanning the room the way professionals scan when they're not here for a latte. It was mid-rush. The espresso machine was hissing, the grinder was screaming, my barista was calling names over the music. A line wrapped past the pastry case, and the air smelled like cinnamon and burnt sugar. The lead inspector stepped forward and said, clear enough for the whole shop to hear, "We need the owner." Every head turned. My barista's eyes found mine behind the counter. She went still. I wiped my hands on a towel, kept my face calm, and stepped forward. "That's me," I said evenly. "Do June Lane." The inspector nodded once. Her nameplate read Inspector Morales. The second inspector, Inspector Chen, stayed slightly behind her, pen poised, watching my registers, my counters, my sink area. Morales didn't smile. "We received a complaint," she said. "Serious violations." The word violations hit the room like a dropped glass. The customers went quiet in that specific way people go quiet when they think something dirty might be happening where they've been eating. A man at the front of the line frowned and stepped back half an inch. Someone near the window table slowly lowered their cup. I didn't panic. I didn't argue. I didn't start listing how clean my shop was, because the first battle in an inspection is tone. If you look defensive, people smell guilt. I looked at Morales calmly. "Okay," I said. "What type of inspection is this?" Morales lifted her clipboard slightly. "Complaint triggered," she said. "We're going to need access to your food prep area, your refrigeration logs, employee hand-washing compliance, and your sanitation station." "Of course," I replied evenly. Then I heard my father's laugh, soft, controlled, from the back of the shop. I didn't turn immediately. I didn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me flinch, but I already knew that laugh. I'd heard it when he used to teach me a lesson at family dinners. When he'd set me up, then smiled as the room turned. Morales followed my gaze anyway. Her eyes tracked past my shoulder to a back corner table, and there he was. My father sat in my shop like he'd reserved the seat, coat still on, coffee untouched, smirk on his face like he'd paid for the show. Not beside him sat my mother, composed, hands folded, watching me like a judge. My younger sister was there too, phone angled down on the table, pretending she wasn't recording. My chest tightened, but my voice stayed flat. I looked back at Morales. "Before you start," I said calmly, "who filed the complaint?" Morales's eyes flicked down to her report. "We don't usually disclose—" "I'm the owner," I said, still calm, "and this is affecting my business in front of customers. I'm asking for the reporting party and the time the complaint was filed." Morales hesitated. Then she did something that made me respect her immediately. She turned the report slightly away from the customers and scanned the top section. Her pen paused. Her face changed, just a little, tightening around the eyes. And Inspector Chen leaned in and whispered something to her under his breath, as if he'd seen the same thing. Morales looked up again, not at me this time. Past me, toward the back table, toward my father. The room stayed quiet. My barista held a cup mid-air. A customer near the door stopped moving entirely. Morales's voice lowered, controlled, but everyone heard it anyway because silence amplifies authority. "Ma'am," she said, looking at me, "this complaint has his name." My father's smirk flickered, and Morales continued, eyes still on him now. "Sir," she said, "did you file this complaint?" My father didn't answer like someone caught. He answered like someone proud. "Yes," he said, leaning back in his chair. "I did." He said it loud enough for the customers to hear, like he wanted them to understand he had power here. And my mother's mouth tightened into a satisfied smile. My sister's phone tilted up slightly, capturing my face. Inspector Morales didn't react emotionally. She reacted procedurally. "Sir," she said, "stand up and come over here." My father blinked once. "Excuse me?" Morales kept her tone level. "You filed a complaint that triggered a state inspection," she said. "I need to verify the reporting party and take a statement. Now." My father's smirk returned. "Fine," he said, rising slowly like he was doing her a favor. He walked toward the counter with the swagger of a man who thinks the building is his. Customers watched him. Some shifted away from him instinctively, like they didn't want to be too close to whatever he brought in. He stopped a few feet from Morales and lifted his chin. "There," he said. "I filed it because this place is a mess. She's running an operation she can't handle." I kept my voice calm. "What did you claim?" I asked Morales. Morales didn't answer me yet. She flipped one page and read, flat, "Allegations include improper food storage temperatures, pest activity, and employee hygiene violations." The word pest landed like poison in a coffee shop. A woman near the pastry case wrinkled her nose. A man at the pickup counter set his drink down like it suddenly felt unsafe. My throat tightened, but my posture stayed still. "That's false," I said evenly. My father shrugged. "Prove it," he replied. Inspector Chen stepped forward, pen poised. "Sir," he said, "when did you observe these violations?" My father smiled like he'd been waiting for this. "I was here yesterday," he said. "I saw enough." I didn't argue that he hadn't been in my shop yesterday. I didn't say he was lying. I just looked at Morales. "What time was the complaint filed?" I asked. Morales glanced down at the top. Her eyes flicked again, and she hesitated for half a beat. Then she read it. "Complaint was filed today at 8:12 a.m., she said. 8:12. Today. My father had been sitting at that back table since the rush started. He walked in at 9, so he didn't see anything yesterday. He filed the complaint this morning, then came here to watch it hit. I kept my voice flat. "So he filed it today," I said, "and came in to watch the inspection." My father's smile sharpened. "I filed it because I care," he said. "Someone has to." Morales's eyes stayed steady. "Sir," she said, "this report lists you as the reporting party and includes a signed declaration." My father's smirk flickered. "Yes," he said. Duchenne asked, "You signed under penalty of perjury that these allegations were true to the best of your knowledge?" My father hesitated just a fraction, then nodded. "Yes." Morales looked at him for a long beat. Then she turned to me. "Ma'am," she said, "we still have to inspect, but we also have to document false reporting if it becomes clear." I nodded once. "I understand," I said. Morales's tone stayed controlled. "We need access to your prep area," she said. "Of course," I replied. I gestured to Nina, my barista. "Nina, keep the line moving," I said softly. "Offer refunds if anyone wants." Nina nodded, eyes tight but steady. I led Morales and Chen behind the counter, through the swing gate into the prep area. Stainless surfaces, labeled containers, temperature log binder clipped to the wall, sanitizer bucket dated and tested, to pest control stickers on the back door. Morales didn't compliment. She checked. Chen took photos. Morales opened my fridge and read the internal thermometer. Chen checked the hot water at the hand sink. Morales asked for my last health department report. I handed it over. Perfect score. Morales's eyebrow lifted slightly. Chen's pen paused. Not surprise. Just the kind of pause people make when the facts don't match the accusation. Morales flipped through my daily temperature logs. Her finger traced the times. Everything consistent. Everything signed. "Pest activity," Chen murmured, scanning corners. There was nothing. No droppings, no traps sprung, no smell, no evidence. Morales looked at me. "Do you have cameras in the shop?" she asked. "Yes," I replied. "Register, front door, seating area." Morales nodded once. "We may request footage," she said. "Whatever you need," I said calmly. We walked back out into the main area. My father was still at the back table, coffee untouched, watching like he was waiting for the punchline. Morales approached him with her clipboard. "Sir," she said, voice flat, We're continuing our inspection, but so far the allegations are not supported. My father's smile faltered. You haven't looked hard enough, he snapped. Morales didn't react. She flipped to another page. You also alleged unsafe wiring and unpermitted equipment, she said. My father leaned back. Exactly, he said. This place is dangerous. I kept my voice calm. It's permitted, I said, and inspected. Morales glanced at me. Do you have your occupancy permit and last fire inspection certificate on site? Yes, I said. I walked behind the counter, opened my compliance binder, and pulled out the laminated certificates. I handed them over. Morales read them, then looked up at my father again, and for the first time, her tone changed. Not louder, but sharper. Sir, she said, you filed a complaint claiming multiple serious violations. Your name is on it. You signed it. If these claims are false, you understand there can be consequences. My father's jaw tightened. Consequences for what? He snapped. I'm a concerned citizen. Morales' eyes held his. For knowingly filing false information to trigger a state action, she said. My mother's smile finally faded. My sister's phone lowered slightly. My father's voice dropped into a threat. You're going to regret taking her side, he hissed. Morales didn't blink. I'm not taking sides, she replied. Hi, I'm documenting. Then Chen stepped closer to Morales and whispered, check the attachments. Morales flipped to the back of the report and paused. Her eyes narrowed. Then she looked at me, then at my father. Sir, she said slowly, did you attach photos to this complaint? My father's smile returned, thin. Yes, he said. Proof. Morales' voice stayed calm, but the room felt colder. These photos, she said, show a different business. My father's smirk froze like his face forgot how to move. What are you talking about? He snapped. Inspector Morales held the report slightly higher, not for the customers, just for herself and for the record. The submitted images, she said, are not from this coffee shop. My mother's eyes darted to my father. My sister's phone lowered completely now. Well, like she suddenly remembered cameras can point both ways. Morales turned one page and pointed with her pen. This photo shows a different counter layout, she said. Different flooring, different menu board. Chen added, calm, and the EXIF metadata indicates the image was captured 2 years ago. The room went so quiet I could hear someone's phone buzz near the window. My father's voice rose, desperate. That's impossible, he barked. Those are from... Morales cut him off. Sir, she said, did you take these photos yourself? My father's jaw worked. My friend sent them, he said quickly. A concerned customer. Morales' eyes didn't blink. Your complaint is signed under penalty of perjury, she said. The photos were submitted as supporting evidence. My father leaned forward, trying to regain control with volume. Yeah, you're overreacting, he snapped. It's just an inspection. She should be grateful I'm keeping the public safe. Chen didn't react to the speech. He flipped through the report again and said, There's a second attachment. Morales' brows knit. Yes, she said slowly and looked at the page. Then she lifted her eyes to my father and asked, Did you include a statement that you are a former employee of this business? My father went still. My stomach tightened, but my tone stayed flat. Former employee? I repeated. Morales read the line aloud, voice calm and deadly. Reporting party claims. I worked here previously and witnessed repeated violations. My father's face flushed dark. That's... he started. I didn't yell. I didn't laugh. I said one sentence, calm enough to cut. My father has never worked here, I said. Anne Morales' eyes held my father's. Sir, she said, is this statement true? My father's mouth opened, then closed. He looked around the room like he could find a witness willing to lie for him. He didn't. My customers weren't his audience anymore. They were my community and they could feel the wrongness like a smell. My mother finally spoke, voice tight. "This is a misunderstanding," she said. Morales didn't turn toward her. "Ma'am," she said, "unless you filed the complaint, I'm not speaking to you right now." My mother's lips pressed into a line. Morales looked back at my father. "Sir," she said, "you filed a complaint with false allegations, false supporting images, and a false claim of employment. That is not a misunderstanding. That is falsification." My father stood up abruptly, chair scraping the floor. "Fine," he snapped. "Then just shut her down anyway. You're here. You can find something." Morales's eyes narrowed. "That's not how this works," she said. Chen stepped closer, pen ready. "Sir," he asked calmly, "what is your relationship to the owner?" My father swallowed. "Father," he said. Chen nodded once, then wrote. "And your motive for filing?" he asked. "My motive?" my father snapped. "She's unfit, she's reckless, Morales raised a hand. "Stop," she said. She turned to me, voice calmer. "Ma'am," she said, "we will complete our inspection and document that the allegations are unsupported, but we also need to document the false reporting." I nodded once. "What do you need from me?" I asked. Morales looked toward the ceiling. "Your camera system," she said. "If you can provide footage that shows conditions during the alleged time windows, one, it helps the record." I didn't hesitate. "You can have it," I said. I turned to Nina behind the counter. "Nina," I said quietly, "pull up yesterday's footage from noon to close, and today from opening to now. Export it." Nina's hand shook slightly, but she nodded and moved. My father's voice went low and ugly. "You're really doing this," he hissed, "calling state inspectors into your family drama." I held his gaze calmly. "You did," I said. "I'm just responding to the report you filed." Morales turned back to my father. "Sir," she said, "I need your identification for the record." My father scoffed. "No." Chen stepped forward. "Sir," he said, "you initiated a state action under your name. We need your ID." My father's eyes burned. "I'm not giving you anything." Morales's tone hardened. "Now then we will request it through law enforcement," she said, "because you may have committed a criminal offense by filing false information." My mother's face changed. Real fear now. "Richard," she whispered sharply. My father stood there breathing hard, trapped by his own pride. Then he pulled his wallet out like it was an insult and slapped his driver's license onto the table. Morales took it, read it, and wrote his full name down. Then she looked at him and said quietly, "Mr. Lane, you should understand something." My father glared. "What?" Morales tapped the complaint packet. "This complaint," she said, "didn't just trigger an inspection. It triggered an interagency flag." My chest tightened. "What flag?" I asked. Chen answered, calm. "Because the reporting party name is already on file," he said. My father's face drained slightly. Now, Morales' eyes stayed on him. "Your name came up in 2 previous false complaints against other small businesses," she said. "Same pattern, same language." My father's mouth opened. Nothing came out. And then Morales said the sentence that made my father's smirk disappear completely. "We're referring this," she said, "for investigation." My father's face tightened like he'd been slapped without a hand. "Referring it to who?" he snapped. Inspector Morales didn't match his volume. She stayed calm, which made it worse for him. "To our enforcement unit," she said, "and to the appropriate agency for false reporting." My mother stepped forward, voice trembling on purpose. "This is unnecessary," she pleaded. "We were worried. We thought the public was at risk." Morales glanced at her once, then back to my father. "Ma'am," she said, "then you didn't file this complaint." "He did, under his name." My father jabbed a finger toward me. "She's manipulating you," he barked. "She's always been vindictive." I didn't respond. I didn't defend my character in front of inspectors. Character isn't what closes cases. Evidence does. Inspector Chen stepped closer to Morales and quietly handed her the clipboard. Morales read a line, then looked up at me. "Ma'am," she said, "we still need to complete our checklist, but I want you to know something before we finish." "What?" I asked, voice steady. "The complaint timestamp is 8:12, she said, "and it lists a phone number and an email." My chest tightened. "His," I said. "Yes," she replied, "and we can see the submission route." Chen added, "It was filed through the online portal, not by phone. That portal captures IP data." My father's jaw flexed. "So what?" he snapped. "You can't—" Morales cut him off, calm. "Sir," she said, "you submitted false information with supporting attachments that don't match this business, and you signed under penalty of perjury. The portal data will be preserved." My mother's eyes widened. My sister had gone completely still, phone forgotten on the table. Nina came back from behind the counter, whispering to me, "Footage is exporting." I nodded once. "Thank you," I said. Morales turned to my father. "Sir," she said, "you need to leave the premises, now." My father laughed once, bitter. "This is my daughter's business," he snapped. "I can sit wherever I want." Morales' eyes didn't blink. "You are disrupting an active inspection," she said, "and the owner has a right to refuse service." I looked at my father. "Leave," I said calmly. My father's eyes flashed. "Or what?" "Or you'll add trespass to your day," Chen said evenly. My father stood abruptly, chair scraping hard. My mother rose too, face tight. My sister grabbed her phone like it was a life raft. They moved toward the door, and my father leaned close as he passed me. "You're going to regret this," he hissed. I didn't flinch. "You already do," I replied calmly. They pushed out into the daylight, and the bell above the door rang again, this time sounding like relief. Morales turned back to me. "Now," she said, "let's finish." For the next 20 minutes, they moved through my shop like a checklist with legs. Fridge temps, hand sink, sanitizer concentration strips, employee food handling certifications, pest control logs, do trash containment, bathroom signage, the things real inspectors look at, not rumors. Chen photographed my permits and scanned the serial numbers on my refrigerators. Morales compared my logs to my actual temperatures. Everything matched. Finally, Morales closed her clipboard. "Your shop is compliant," she said. The customers exhaled as if the air came back. A woman at the window table took a cautious sip again. Nina's shoulders dropped. Morales didn't smile. She didn't need to. She turned to the front counter and wrote one line on the report. Complaint allegations not substantiated. Then she flipped the page and wrote something else, smaller, colder. Reporting party evidence inconsistent. Attachments unrelated. Suspected false report. She looked at me. "We'll need your exported footage," she said. "You'll have it," I replied. De Morales nodded once. "We're also issuing a notice to the reporting party," she said, "and documenting him as a repeat filer." "Repeat," I echoed. Morales' eyes held mine. "Yes," she said. "There are prior complaints with his name. This one is now part of a pattern." My throat tightened, not from fear, because pattern is bigger than family drama. Pattern is where consequences live. My phone buzzed then. A text from an unknown number. "You think you won? I'll file again. Different name next time." I stared at it, calm. Morales noticed my eyes shift. "Everything okay?" she asked. I turned my phone slightly so she could see the message without reading the sender. She didn't take it. She didn't touch it. She just looked. Chen leaned in and read it silently. Morales' face tightened. "Save that," she said. "I will," I replied. She nodded once. "And that's retaliation," she said quietly, "and it supports intent." Chen added, Forward it to enforcement when they contact you. Morales handed me a copy of the report summary. Compliant inspection, complaint unsubstantiated, referral initiated. Then she lowered her voice. "Ma'am," she said, "someone from enforcement will likely reach out today. Given the repeat pattern and false attachments, this may be treated as an abuse of process issue." I nodded once. "I'll cooperate," I said. Morales paused, then asked, "Do you know why he's doing this?" I looked toward the front window, where my father's car was still parked across the street like a threat. "Yes," I said calmly, "because he couldn't steal my business any other way." Morales' eyes narrowed. "Has he tried?" she asked. I exhaled slowly. "Yes," I said. "Contracts, filings, threats." Morales' gaze held mine. "Then this isn't just an inspection today," she said. "This is documentation." As if to underline it, the shop phone rang. Nina picked it up, listened, and her eyes widened. She covered the receiver and looked at me. "June," she whispered. "It's a state investigator. They're asking for you by name." My chest tightened, controlled. Because Morales was right. This had moved past my father's performance. It had become a file. I didn't take the call at the counter. I walked into my small office behind the prep area. Quiet, no customers, no latte machines, and closed the door. Nina handed me the phone like it was fragile. I put it on speaker and said calmly, "This is June Lane." A man's voice answered, clipped and professional. "Ms. Lane, this is Investigator Paul Sosa with State Enforcement. To Inspector Morales referred your complaint-triggered inspection." "Understood," I said. Sosa didn't ask how I felt. He asked for facts. "We're opening a case for suspected false reporting and abuse of the complaint system," he said. "We need your cooperation. Camera footage export, copies of your permits and logs, and any communications from the reporting party after the inspection." "I have the footage exporting now," I said. "Permits and logs are ready," and I received a retaliatory text message. "Save it," Sosa said immediately. "Screenshot, do not reply." "I won't," I replied. Sosa continued. "Inspector Morales noted the attachments submitted were from a different business and that the reporting party claimed prior employment here." "That's false," I said. "Yes," Sosa replied. "YTN, it matters because false statements in a signed complaint can become a criminal issue depending on severity and intent." I kept my voice flat. "What happens next?" I asked. "We subpoena the portal submission records," he said. "That includes IP address, upload metadata, and account history. We also look for prior filings under the same identity. Morales indicated his name is already on file." "He admitted he filed it," I said, "in front of customers." "Good," Sosa replied. "Witnesses matter." He paused a beat. "Do you want a no-contact recommendation forwarded to local law enforcement for trespass and harassment escalation?" "Yes," I said. Sosa didn't soften. "Okay," he said. "We'll coordinate. You'll receive an official request for footage and documents today. If the reporting party returns or interferes with your business, call police. Let the record grow clean." "Understood," I said. The call ended. I stared at the phone for a second, then walked back onto the floor like the rush hadn't tried to swallow me. Customers were still there. Some had left, some had stayed. The ones who stayed watched me differently now, less like a barista, more like someone who just stood up to something ugly without spilling a cup. A man near the window table caught my eye. He lifted his coffee slightly, a small salute, then went back to his laptop. Nina leaned toward me. "What did they want?" she whispered. "Footage and documents," I said softly. "It's a case now." I didn't make an announcement. I didn't make a scene. I did what my father never expected. I kept the business running. At the end of the day, after the last customer left and the chairs were flipped onto tables, and I opened my email, there was already a formal enforcement request, PDF letterhead, case number, evidence checklist. I uploaded the footage. Yesterday noon to close, today open to inspection, plus a clip of my father sitting at the back table smirking while inspectors walked in. I uploaded the inspection report and the compliance binder scans. I attached the screenshot of the retaliatory text. Then I forwarded it all to my attorney, because I don't trust any system without my own counsel watching. The portal subpoena came back within a week. Enforcement confirmed the complaint was submitted from an IP address associated with my father's home network, with the false attachments uploaded from a device registered to his email profile. The former employee claim wasn't a mistake. It was a deliberate fabrication to give his report more weight. And combined with the wrong business photos and the timing, it met the threshold for a formal false reporting referral. My father tried to shift blame the moment he realized the state wasn't treating this like gossip. He claimed he used a template, that he clicked the wrong photos, that he only wanted an inspection. But enforcement doesn't care about excuses when the evidence shows pattern and intent. They issued a warning order first, then escalated when additional reports surfaced. 2 other small businesses had received complaints in similar language, tied to the same name and portal profile. Local police served my father with a formal trespass notice from my shop after he returned once. 2 days later, standing outside and pointing at customers as they walked in. The officer told him clearly, return again and he would be arrested. Now he stopped coming in person after that. The state's abuse of process case didn't end with a warning, because my father wasn't just concerned. He was using inspections as a weapon to harm a business he couldn't control. He was ultimately cited for filing a materially false complaint and was referred for further review tied to repeat pattern activity. The state also flagged his portal profile, meaning any future complaints submitted under his name would be automatically routed for enhanced screening. My mother went back to what she does best, spinning stories. She told relatives I was cruel and unstable and punishing my father for caring. It didn't stick the way it used to. Not after the inspection report came back clean, not after customers saw my father sitting there smirking, not after the state opened a file and my sister stopped filming me. Not because she grew empathy, because she realized filming doesn't erase logs, and logs don't care about captions. And my shop survived the one thing my father wanted most: public doubt. The inspection ended with compliance confirmed. The rumor collapsed, and the next week my regulars came back louder than before. A few even joked about needing state-approved lattes. I smiled because the best revenge my father never understood was simple: staying open. Hi, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the story. If state inspectors suddenly walked into your business mid-rush because your own family filed a complaint to shut you down, what would you do? Would you panic and try to explain yourself, or would you stay calm and let the report, the timestamps, and the evidence speak for you? I'd really like to know what you think. Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.